have our class about making ourselves more enlightened and being a positive influence on everyone around us. So welcome to those on the live stream, whether you're on YouTube or Twitch or Facebook. Please write in. I'll see your chats and you can be here part of it. And everyone's always welcome to come into VR chat and join us for real. As you can see, we've got a whole crowd of people here ready to go. So the way we always start for everybody, I'm going to ring the bell. We line up, and then one by one, we bow to enter this sacred space. What I want you to do as you're doing that is just make this a special time for you. At the back of our temple, we have a statue of an enlightened being, and I invite you to bow to the enlightened being and think of all the people throughout time who've devoted themselves to goodness, and find that part of you that is awesome, is caring, is wise, and know there's more amazingness inside of you than we've ever known. We just have to give that part of us the attention that it deserves. And then we grab a cushion and we wait to begin with our intention setting. So I'll ring the bell, we'll line up, and then let's go on in. Okay, so let's just begin by setting our intention. So this is for everybody. This session is for us to find peace and happiness, to bring that peace and happiness into every moment of our life. When I say peace and happiness, I actually want you to feel a little deeper into that, into positivity, love, kindness, confidence, whatever would benefit you. This session is to empower and liberate your being, and to bring that to the people around us, and ultimately to create a world where everyone has peace, happiness, kindness, confidence, but even more than that, not just these positive qualities, that our full creativity is free for us to live vibrantly, for us to be empowered, to be positive, to help one another, and to make beautiful lives. So let's all just grab a seat. So I'd like to start with just a very short meditation, just to feel that intention that we just set. So if you're brand new to meditation, it's basically a way to just let your mind be calm. No matter what's happening around us, no matter what was happening inside of you, you just let it all settle. And in that peace, you can then go deeper into peace, or cultivate happiness, or cultivate love and kindness. And so I'm going to guide the meditation for us to feel that positive intention that we just set. We're making time for you to grow into the best version of you. So let's all just close our eyes and take a couple of strong, deep breaths. Enough that the breath catches your attention. Watch your mind and try to make it so that you're just completely hearing these strong, powerful breaths. And now that your mind is a little captivated or a lot captivated by the breath, change the pace of the breath. Turn it into a soothing breath. Notice if you're thinking any words, and just let your inner voice become very calm. The tone of your inner voice feeling warm and soothing. And just enjoying that you can shift gears in your mind like this. So with each breath you take, just explore, imagine how peaceful you could feel, how good you could feel. If you're a regular practitioner, what would it be like for your intention to be enlightenment in every moment, right now? Feel that in each moment of the breath. And now think of that intention that we set, to be liberating our minds, to be a positive influence on those around us, to make a world where people are full of peace and love and kindness. So imagine if this minute was the most precious minute. It's the chance to transform your life and the people around you. So let yourself feel and practice being that blissful, enlightened being a positive influence, a calming influence, a wise influence. Imagine this temple is full of people, or maybe on the live stream over the eternity in front of us. There might be millions of people eventually who will watch this meditation here with you. Let yourself imagine how empowered, happy, or cared for you'd want every one of those people to be. And then you can just start to stretch, bringing whatever you are just imagining, whatever you are questioning or thinking about, bring all of that into this session for us to share together and to explore. So something that comes really clear to me is that we can say things that sound big and profound, like a world where everyone is full of kindness. And for people who've practiced a lot of kindness meditation or who've had those ideas around for a while, that's beautiful and inspiring. But for someone who hasn't done that or has had a lot of meanness around them for a while, that might just sound completely impossible or unimaginable. So taking the time to focus on it and practice it and feel it and become it is how we transform ourselves. So what I wanted to do is open it up to all of us and the people on the live stream. Perhaps what I just said you found beautiful and inspiring. Perhaps some of it seemed far-fetched. Perhaps some of it sounded good, but you wanted to ask, how would I do that? So I'm opening it up to all of you just to hear your thoughts, what you loved or didn't love about that meditation. Anybody? Creek?
So I kind of have a working definition of what it means to be kind. One that kind of helps me see kindness clearly in my own head so that I can hopefully emulate it out. And the working definition is something similar to it's kind to interact with the world and other people in a way that's true to reality.
Do you want to explain what you mean or describe it a little more for us, please?
So I've found that I might have good intentions, but if they're not informed, I think when it comes to seeing clearly, like if I'm not seeing the world clearly, and if I'm placing my own kind of narrative or expectation on a situation, it usually leads to miscommunication. And miscommunication sometimes gets in the way, I think, of interactions. So I think by overcoming miscommunication, by seeing clearly and interacting with reality as it is, I think that that's kind.
So you're saying trying to see other people's situations clearly and interacting with them without your own stories, to be really present with them in a way that's as real as you can be. Now I'm trying to think how I can apply that to myself. Um, I can think of when I would like people to be kinder or to be calmer and more nice vibes. But I guess they are experiencing what they're experiencing right now. So all I can do is just experience them as they are. Is that part of what you were saying?
Sure. I think this kind of goes. Now, this is maybe unhelpful, but I think with context of what I just said, it might make more sense. It's questions go away when we are fully present. So if you're not sure what to say, if you're not sure even simply when to eat, or what to give somebody, I think by being present, those answers come up pretty quick. And there's no need to kind of create context in your mind when everything you need to know is usually just right there.
So let me just check on the live stream if anyone else has shared their thoughts from that meditation. So I'm curious what people's experiences were. Creek shared one of the parts that stood out for him, but as I was guiding it, did the shifting gears in the breath, were you able to feel better and calmer? Or then as I encourage you to imagine feeling good, we didn't have much time. It wasn't time to like really powerfully go into the imagination, but I'd love to hear like what you were thinking or what it was like for you guys. Mansteel?
Yeah.
So during the meditation, what was your mind doing? What did it feel like?
Well, I'm pretty used to meditate. Like I do it daily. So I was focusing on my breath, feeling light, like good feelings.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing. Something I've noticed often is when people have a regular practice, sometimes they'll do that practice even when they're in a place where something else is happening. So I was wondering, we started with focusing on the breath and going into the positive feelings. And then I suggested to imagine yourself as an enlightened being and just being as empowered and liberated as possible. Was your attention so much in the breath that those ideas, you didn't really hear them? Or did you also try them?
No, I did visualize. Just do it while breathing, focusing on your breath. Like do both.
Wonderful. That makes me really happy. So one thing I've found is if we visualize something once, it can sometimes transform us. But often it's visualizing something many times where it then has time to be felt bigger and bigger, and for us to practice what it would be like to be like that, and for the things we imagine to be trained into our body. Just like any other skill that you're learning, you practice it. And the same is true as we visualize enlightenment or you visualize kindness for everybody. the more you practice it, the more you learn it and train it, and it becomes part of us. So I could come in with classes prepared, but really my intention is to come here and do whatever's most helpful for you right now. So yes, I want to keep that question open of what was the meditation like for you, or in which ways did it work, or what questions you have. But I also want to open the question more broadly. What's going on in your life? How would you like to be more enlightened? Or what's something that's been difficult and you wonder what some Buddhist philosophy might say about that part of your life? Or if anyone has any questions about anything, I want to open this session up for all of us. Manstill, you said that you meditate daily.
Yeah. I do it. I did it like for a year now. Still
Wonderful.
doing it.
Is there anything in particular that you really appreciate about it, or is there any questions you have about how you could make it more useful or more enlightening, or anything about the technique you want to discuss or ask about?
Well, I usually, when I imagine things, I don't see pictures. So I don't know if I'm doing it right. Like, if I don't see pictures in my mind, is it useful like other people? Because other people do see colors or pictures when they're meditating, and like they feel almost out of their body.
That is a
And
great
I
question.
don't really feel that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's it.
So, different forms of meditation will try to create different internal experiences. There are definitely people who want to just go into stillness, just be in the breath. And then there's a lot of variations on that. There are people who want to be just in the breath and feel like their whole mind is completely focused into one point. There are people who want to be just in the breath and notice all the little subtleties in their mind and just learn to be more aware of the inner workings. There are people who are just in the breath and then they just kind of let their mind wander and every now and then try and come back to the breath. So even though all those people would say they're doing breathing meditation, they're actually doing very different things and they'll get very different results. So you could ask yourself, if you look closely at your practice, then you can see how do you focus, or what's your intention, what do you do with each moment of your awareness. And at least for me, I like to ask myself, what am I practicing, or what am I cultivating? So I'm guessing in the breathing meditation you have a sense of peace and calm. Maybe you have an idea of an inner peace, like this deeper stillness that you're growing. Maybe you've come up with other nice ideas, or read different ideas, or heard them, and they kind of inform how you think about meditation. And I found that most of the time people get what they think about. So if someone's thinking of this ocean of stillness inside themselves, they'll start to feel like, oh yes, there's this deep stillness inside themselves. Or if someone feels like, I've just trained myself to be calm, then that will be what they end up thinking or feeling. I could describe a bunch of attitudes I've seen that are common in meditation schools that aren't helpful, but I don't even want to say them because I'd rather not spread unhelpful thoughts. So yeah, I'd encourage you to look at what are the different thoughts and attitudes that you bring to your meditation, and just really enjoy the most beautiful ones and fine-tune them. Now, I know I didn't really answer your question about visualizing and seeing things, but I was trying to create the context that we all do different things in our minds and our meditations, and that's okay. And we'll get different results from what we focus on. Now, as for visualizing, you mentioned colors. So that's one kind of visualization. Someone's in a deep meditation and then suddenly they are swimming in this color that feels beautiful. That's nice, and that might happen to you. And if you talk about it a lot, I think it's more likely to happen to you. And then there's the other kind of visualization. Like what I was saying was to visualize yourself being full of love and kindness, and visualize yourself being empowered. Language is limited. Some people will visualize being loving and kind, and for them that's just this warm feeling of kindness. They might not actually be visualizing anything, but then the next time they talk to someone, if they feel more warm and kind, they've become more warm and kind. So actually, when I said visualize, I was hoping that it was in whichever way you imagine, for you to then do it. I guess I hesitated there with the word imagine because it's got the word image in it. But not everybody thinks in images. Some people imagine in emotions or imagine in words and ideas. What I have found most helpful is to practice using many different ways. So practice what it's like to create a feeling, and to practice what it's like to, say for example with the kindness, to practice what it's like to have a kind tone in my voice, or to practice what it's like if someone has said something that was jarring to somebody. What's it like for me to just feel love for everyone and then say something in a tone that like brings people's attention back into kindness? Now, none of those things I just said had a visual component. They were ideas and feelings. But I could also add a visual component. How do I look into someone's eyes? Or what kind of scenarios do I go into in my life? And then I could practice being kind in those different places. Then there's other things apart from feelings and visual. I could imagine how my body moves. What's my body language like while I'm being extra kind? Some people might feel tension or other emotions in different situations. And so to practice being kind would be to practice like open body language and feelings of expressiveness. And so I've found that engaging different feelings and thoughts and imagery and ideas, all of the different ways I imagine it enriches the way it transforms me. Now, you were saying you don't really imagine much. So when I first started reading about positive thinking and learning about meditation, I also couldn't imagine things. Maybe I could think of, if someone said meditate on an apple, maybe I could think of the idea of an apple, but I definitely couldn't see an apple in my mind. So I read some books about learning to visualize. So I would practice in my mind just drawing a simple circle, or thinking of the color red and then the color green and the color blue. And to start, I could kind of imagine them faintly and they'd just disappear. But then as I'd do that more and more, they became more vivid and more lasting. Like, for example, if I was to say to you right now, elephant, I'm guessing for most people, there was a flash of what an elephant is. Maybe you thought of a trunk and big ears and a body. So there's some part of most of us that has some visual experience. So we can practice that and make it more vivid. And I guess my encouragement is to practice all kinds of ways of empowering your inner world. Practice visualizing, practice music in your imagination, practice feeling more and more powerful, beautiful feelings. Practice going deeper into stillness and concentration. And sometimes people have this self-fulfilling prophecy. If when you've gone to visualize, not much came up, and then you're like, well, I guess I don't really visualize things. That can be a blocker to then practicing and training your mind to visualize more. So this is for everybody. If you ever notice yourself thinking, oh, I can't do that, or I'm not very good at that thing, I definitely encourage you to put that thought aside and reframe it as, oh, there's something that I need to practice if I want to be able to do that. So I'm just thinking if there's anything more I'd like to add to complete the ideas around visualization, being able to visualize, using many different senses, visual, emotions, words, practicing visualizing. Oh yeah, and so one thing you can think about if when we're training ourselves, what are you actually training? So if you were to imagine other people over there being nice to each other, or if you were to imagine people over there with warm, kind body language, maybe it will impact you, or maybe not. But if you were to imagine yourself being kind with someone, then your brain is learning, hey, this is what I am doing. And so that's just a really blatant example. But whenever you're thinking about yourself, you can watch what you're doing. Am I actually practicing what I want to become? Or am I thinking of some other thing? So we try to visualize or emotionalize or conceptualize in a way that's as direct and helpful as possible. So yeah, that's all my thoughts in response to that for now. I'd love to hear, does that feel satisfying, or do you have any response or other questions?
Thank you. It's really helpful. Like to know that you used to not see images and now you can. So it's possible for me, maybe.
So I said almost everybody will see a glimpse of an elephant when I say elephant. There's been studies, or they've found that a tiny fraction of people seem to have no visual experience. I wonder, I haven't tried this. I wonder if I could train them in the same way I read that book, to train seeing a straight line and then turning a straight line, or seeing a square and turning the square, like starting with really simple things. I wonder if those people could be trained. But from what I've heard, it's like 1 in a million who have no visual experience. And I also want to say there was a time where I really focused on visual imagination. I was practicing visual memory skills, like creating funny stories or funny movies in my mind so that I could remember whatever I wanted to learn. And when I was doing that every day, my inner visual world was wild. It was better than an action movie all the time. And then I had some chapter of my life where I was focusing on other things. And so yeah, my visual mind is definitely not as good as when I practiced it up to peak. Just like any skill, when we practice it, it gets stronger. And if we don't for a while, well, there are some skills you let them settle and your subconscious has made it more awesome. And there's some times where they fade. So yeah, I'm just sharing that in, to just create a fuller picture of our mind's all about training. Awesome. So we've got at least someone on the live stream. Aiden, hi, thanks for saying hello. If you have any questions about life or mental training or feeling good, please share them and I'll see them. And Fence, who just joined us, we started with a little meditation where we felt calm. We saw what it was like to bring ourselves into feeling peace and calm our mind just a little bit. And then I just dove straight into imagine being enlightened. Imagine your most liberated self, bringing happiness and positivity and peace to everyone around us. And then I opened it up, like, how was that? Could you imagine that? Where would you like to be better at that? And we're just going with the flow with the discussion from there. Okay, so I'd love to hear people's thoughts about what we were just talking about, or maybe have a different question, or deadly poison. If you just want to be quiet, that's totally okay too. I just thought it looked like you were getting ready for your turn. So as I described that meditation, you notice I kind of said that we jumped into it and we sort of did it quickly. So I'd like everybody to imagine what it would be like to spend a lot longer really focusing on cultivating something, whether it was being kind and then being wonderfully kind and then being understanding to everyone in your life and then wishing love for the whole world. I mean, what would it be like to just feel that growing for hours and hours? Or maybe there's some parts of yourself that you wish you were better. You wish that you were more confident, or you wish that you were better at football, or more expressive in your artwork, or said what you were really thinking rather than some other thing. I mean, there's lots of things that we'd all like to transform. So I'd like you to imagine whatever the things are that you'd like to improve on, what it would be like to spend quite a long time just really imagining being great at it and feeling awesome as you imagine that. I mean, it's a question for all of us. How much time and attention do we give to who we really want to be? But if I go back to what I said to Mansteel before about, are you visualizing or thinking about the right thing? That question of, am I spending enough time on it? It's not really a helpful question. The thing that's actually important is to spend time on it. To let yourself imagine feeling brave, happy, expressive, and joyful. So for those of you who've just joined in on the live stream, I see there's a few more people. I'd love to hear your questions or thoughts around cultivating happiness, peace, confidence, and kindness. Whatever you say here, you'll get to be part of this session. So I want to share a bit of my story and why am I motivated to run these sessions. So I learned about meditation and watching our mind, and I learned about kindness meditation, and I learned about visualizing to transform myself at a time in my life where I wasn't feeling great. And there's definitely a lot of people around me who were also not feeling great. And it just really hit me that, hey, why are we all doing these feelings to ourselves or acting the way we do? We could be any way we want. We could have such a beautiful, kind way of being. We could be happy and celebratory. And yet people are doing all these other things. And I think that one thing I would love everyone in the world to do is ask themselves, hey, if we could be any way at all, what would we choose? Like we're caught up in what we think life is meant to be. Oh yeah, this is the way things are around me. And really stepping out of that, like how happy do you want to be? How creative do you want to be? Do you want to dance in the street? Do you want to bring joy? Do you want to bring intellect and wisdom to every conversation? Do you want to do things that make things much better? It's like so often we're just kind of caught up in what's going on rather than designing ourselves. And I can sort of prove that to you. So you could imagine a group of your friends, and you can see like the kind of things you do and the kind of activities you are involved in, and you can also see the sort of feelings and ways that you talk to each other. And then think of a group on the other side of the world. They have very different ideas, and maybe they dress differently. They probably dance differently. They talk differently. So it's pretty clear that like we're just kind of following along with the grooves that we're in. And I hope that's exciting for you to think, hey, what would it be like to create my own new groove? And not just for me, if I create a warmer, kinder way of being, or a group of friends that love to laugh more, then that opens the possibility that more people can find that way of being, and you can have a more laughing, happy group. So yeah, whenever you're imagining how you'd like to be, know that it's also a gift that you're giving to others. So when I learned about self-transformation, I got so excited about it. I'd spend about an hour a day in a mixture of visualizing, being confident, being happy, being better at sport, being invited to all the parties, enjoying school, because before that I'd hated school, being healthy, being strong. Like, there was just so many parts of my life where I was like, wow, I could really make things a lot better here. So I'd have some time of the day where I'd be visualizing that. I'd also have a part of the day where I'd be doing breathing meditation, learning to watch my mind really clearly. And I also would have time where I'd do kindness meditation. The book that taught me meditation put that as like its own special practice. Now I think of kindness meditation just like confidence meditation or happiness meditation or being better at cleaning the living room meditation. But I do still feel it's kind of special because human interactions are one thing that's just always going on, and if we can make all of them kinder, that actually does make the world more beautiful for everyone. So I was doing breathing meditation and kindness meditation and visualizing and saying positive things to myself and visualizing them and rehearsing them. I was also listening to hypnosis every evening as I'd go to sleep. So that would be like a deep meditation. It would, you'd scan the body a few times, or there'd be suggestions to go deeper and deeper into stillness and focus. And then in that deep meditation, there'd be recordings about happiness and positivity. And so I was a bit of a brain ninja. I mean, some people in temples might be doing 14 hours a day of training. But yeah, for me, my 1 or 2 hours of training seemed pretty wild. And the reason I share it is because a few months later, I was a radically different person. I was being invited to all the parties, and I'd gone from being sad to being happy, like really happy, and being able to just make the happiness bigger and brighter. Sometimes I wake up laughing because I just feel so good. So it's amazing to me how wildly we can train ourselves and transform ourselves. And I guess one of my missions in life is to work out how to share that with other people in enough that gets them excited, and also so they try it. But not just try it, but imagine how great they can be. You know, if you were to imagine yourself, if you're thinking about happiness meditation and you're like, oh yeah, I'm going to practice being happy, that's going to get very different results than if you're thinking, I'm going to get to a point where I'm the happiest being in the universe. I really want to inspire everyone to expand their imagination, level up, and let yourself explore how good you can feel, how awesome you can make your life. Okay, I'm just going to recheck the live stream, and anyone any questions or thoughts? Fence? How about you, El Puniz?
Like yeah, other question actually like also helping me like you like I get more vision about other things. That yeah, I actually also maybe kind of hard before when doing visualizing, but I feel like it's been better like nowadays. But yeah, it's really helpful.
Great. Well, I love that you brought that up. Are you asking about being able to visually see things in your mind, or you're asking about visualization to make new habits?
Actually, both of them actually. Now you mention it.
Great. Okay.
But yeah, the first. Yes.
So, how about I show you some of the exercises that I learned to make my mind more visually vivid? Now, before we jump in, I just want to say to everybody and the people on the live stream that these sessions, I'm hoping to be wildly transforming. You know, we're about to make our imagination more vivid. But there's a reason that I think that's important. It's because our minds shape every moment of our life. When we make our minds more vivid, our life's more vivid. So I hope that you can feel my intention that this is meant to be wonderfully helpful. Yes, visualizing more can help you with math, or can help you with engineering, or can help you with art. But I hope that you take the approach that it helps you with everything. Okay, so let's just do a couple of exercises. So if you can look at my finger and you can see me draw a line. And now I want you to imagine as I draw the line up that there'll be just a little faint line left in the air where I draw my line. So maybe some of you can still see it there, and still imagine it there. Some of you, it was just the idea and then it faded. So I'm going to do another one, and this time I want you to imagine a black line where I move my finger. And then you can close your eyes and imagine drawing a white line. Now draw a white line sideways instead of up or down. Now for some of you, you can see it and it will stay there. And some of you, it's just an idea. And some of you, it sort of goes in and out between the idea and the visual thing. That's okay. We're practicing. And inside your subconscious is learning all different ways of representing it. So however you're seeing that line now, I want you to imagine turning it around. Maybe you imagine grabbing it with your hand and turning it like a stick. Or maybe you just see it rotating. Or maybe you imagine it moving like the hands of a clock. And then bring it just to be straight up and down. So you've got this white line. And now I want you to imagine it expanding out to the side. So it's stretching out to become a square. Okay, so let's just stop for a moment. For some of us, that might have been quite a lot of brain exercise. For some of us, that would be easy. But I just want to have a break for a moment, just like if you're lifting weights, you have a little break so your muscles can recharge. But yeah, open to everybody, but particularly El Puniz and Man Steel, because you mentioned visualization. I'd love to hear how it was. And just while you're thinking of your answer, Jules just joined us. So Jules, we had a few people mention about visualizing vividly, like being able to see things in their imagination. So we're just doing some exercises to make our imagination more vivid.
Okay. Oh, I don't know if I'm on mute. Sorry.
Oh no, I can hear you.
Okay.
And Aiden's here with us in the live stream as well.
Is he? Hi, Aiden.
Cool. So Mansteel, how was that visualizing the line?
I couldn't see anything, but I kind of saw like colors, but not very vivid. They were like black still. I don't know how to explain it, but I saw something at least, like some movement.
Great. So something you might like to do,
Yeah.
because you said it wasn't very like vivid, or I imagine it wasn't very sharp, is you could imagine, I don't know if you've ever seen someone like focusing an old school camera. You could imagine you've got this blurry image in your mind, and what would it be like to just sharpen it up? So I want you to just try and imagine that right now. And I'm going to ask Elpunis, how was it for visualizing for you?
Yeah, by I don't know how the right words to put it. But yeah, giving more like English is not my first language, so I don't know how to describe it. Sorry.
Ah.
But yeah, it really helped me.
Good. Great. So what I found is, there was definitely times where I'd do this and I couldn't really see much, but just being confident that I was practicing and that it was getting better made me feel like it was getting better, which then made me be able to visualize it better the next time. Okay. So everybody look around, see the temple. If you're on the live stream, you can see there, and you could imagine if you were here in VR and you could look around. Maybe you notice what it's like. The parallel lines, they kind of change as you move your head, and the corners move, and the windows move. And then close your eyes and look around the temple. You can see the different kinds of oranges on the floor and on the boards around the edge, and up and down in the large pillars and in the windows. And you can see the rusty stone coloured panels in between the windows and the pillars. And you can see the cushions. And you can see the people. And then you can open your eyes and just appreciate whatever you saw, whether it was little glimpses, little bits of visual memory. Maybe some of those bits of memory were able to stay together. I just find it's really amazing to watch the different parts of my mind, how they get put together and how they can get better. So I think that's enough visualization practice for now, but can everybody see how that was just, a minute or two? And so if you were to do 2 minutes a day, and each day just got a little sharper and a little more vivid, how you could train your mind to be much more vivid over not too long. Awesome. And I'm just going to say it again, is to be kind to yourself. When you're doing a meditation or you're thinking of some art or you're imagining something, if you're not seeing vivid visual things in your mind, it's okay. Like, I would just be careful to not label it as like, oh, I'm not visualizing. Just be good to your mind. Like, it's thinking of things and it's experiencing it in certain ways, and there's some part of you that's visualizing it. If you saw the thing that you'd visualize, you'd be like, oh yeah, that is what I was imagining. So the more like we're kind to our mind, the more the subconscious imagining is able to blossom, and we can then consciously also do the imagining. I'd say the same thing about enlightenment or happiness or wisdom. Whenever we see our attitude or our reactions not as great as we'd want, or we try to imagine love and kindness or confidence, just know that you're growing the things you focus on. It doesn't matter how perfectly you feel it or how vividly you see what to do. Just love that you are giving those positive things the time and the intention and the attention they deserve. So I'm curious, what brings everybody here? Are you here to get enlightened? Are you here because a friend invited you? Are you here because you're curious? Jules?
Yeah, I think I'm here because I want to be a better person. I want to see, I don't know, kindness and things in people. You invited me as well. Yeah, I think it's mostly trying to be a better person. You know, move through this world nicely and with kindness and, you know, caring about others.
Wonderful. I'd love to hear other people's reasons. Why are you here? Creek?
I think it definitely changes the more I come. But I think I appreciate the community, which has been nice, and so this might sound silly, but I'd like to have an experience worth having, and I think being kind is part of that, and being wise is part of that. And Buddhism has a lot of practices that streamline those things.
That was such a beautiful saying. I want to have an experience worth having. I want to print that on a t-shirt. I also noticed you mentioned the community. That's also something I really love. When I'm talking about positive things that have helped me, I feel them so much more, and I notice them just impacting my life. For those of you who weren't there on the Monday sessions, a week and a half ago my father died, and teaching meditation and Buddhist philosophy, I spent a lot of time talking about attachments and expectations, and that suffering happens from some reason. And when he died, I had just spent so much time talking about appreciating and talking about loving that I just thought of him with appreciation and love. That was where my focus was. And then in a moment where I was like, I'm never going to talk to him again, I then just remembered, but it's really helpful in life to just embrace reality as it is. And so I just said it a bunch of times. I'm never going to talk to him again. Wow, I'm never going to talk to him again. And I kind of shifted gears in my mind so that that was okay. And then if I'm not going to talk to him again, what have I got then? I've got the loving memories and the inspiration and the positive lessons that he taught me. So it's like I just, rather than struggling with that idea for a long time, I just embraced it. And then it made my life richer. And yes, I know that stuff. And when I was a brain ninja meditating for an hour a day, I could easily train that into myself. But now I have a baby, I'm working full time, I'm not doing an hour of meditation a day. Having a community to talk about these things brings it strongly in my mind. It's like such great brain programming. So I hope that each one of us has positive discussions with each other, and also with your friends or family. I mean, not everyone's going to want to talk about meditation, but talking about how you see things, or talking about, I shifted my attitude there and now I feel differently about it. There are ways of saying things that are more appealing to different people, and trying to create positive community wherever we go. It'll be super helpful for you, not to mention that it's helpful for everybody else. And you might notice in my sessions here, I'm not using very much like Buddhist terminology, and there's a reason for that. I've practiced a lot trying to share these super helpful ideas in a way that anyone can just understand. And I hope you also practice that. Practice watching your thoughts, practice choosing good attitudes, practice kindness, and practice sharing it with people and exploring different ways of sharing, so that, the approach you take with one person might be completely different to someone else. Someone might want stories that are emotional. Someone might want intellectual ideas. Someone might want laughter at the same time. And someone else might want love, or someone else might want seriousness. So just practicing how to share positivity in different ways, that fills you up with all these different kinds of positivity. would anyone else like to share why you're here in the temple today? Okay, Mansteel, I'm gonna put you on the spot. Why are you here?
Well, I wasn't feeling great today. Not as like sad or like just I don't know. I couldn't say bored or lonely. I don't know. But I saw the notification on Discord and I said, why not? Maybe I've been here before, like 2 times, I think. But today was like, oh, okay, maybe it's great, great timing. I needed this, maybe. I don't know.
Well, I'm happy that you're here. But it's interesting to hear that just on the day that you needed it, when you saw this thing, you came. So I hope that we can find inside ourselves the part of you that wants an enlightened world, or wants a world where our experiences are beautiful and meaningful. And we really want to have more time in these communities, whether it's here in the temple, or whether it's reading the most enlightening books, or whether it's meditating and asking yourself your most lovely, happy, super happiest possible part of you, spending time with those important, like, wonderful things. I hope we need that. So I'd like to guide another meditation inspired by Jules saying she comes here for kindness, because kindness meditation is such a beautiful practice. We can always have more of that. And I'd also going to spend a little more time on our beginning meditation of connecting with your enlightened self. So I'll give you a little more spaces to practice or think about ways that you'd like to be that enlightened self. So as we begin this meditation, let's all get ourselves comfortable. If you have a regular meditation practice, you might like to remember what it's like to bring your focus or attention really into the meditation. Or you might like to remember the most beautiful feelings that you've ever had in your body or mind in meditation. And as you just focus on them and breathe, and if you're newer to meditation, you could imagine a volume control for your inner voice. You just turn it down and turn it down and turn it down. And bring your attention into your breathing. And each breath you take, let it feel more soothing. Each breath you take, bring your mind totally into now. Completely at peace with each moment as it is. And then notice whatever peace you've cultivated or nice feelings are now in your awareness, or the depth of your meditation. And imagine just going deeper into meditation. As we then begin our kindness meditation, so I want you to bring to mind one person that you really care about. And as you think about that one person, imagine if they could feel you caring about them right now. And that probably feels good. So as you imagine them feeling good, let yourself feel more caring, a more warm feeling. And then as you feel more caring, you imagine them receiving more caring, feeling loved, appreciated. And then as you meditate on this person receiving your caring, let yourself play with the idea. Maybe you want to give them a smile and see them smile back. Maybe you'd like to say to them, I care about you. Maybe you can think of some things that the next time you see them or sometime soon, ways that you'd actually like to care more. Things that you really want to say to them, or something you'd like to do for them. Maybe you'd like to practice the look on your face or the tone in your voice to just express your care for this person. Maybe you could remember some ways where they've made it clear how to care for them. Perhaps they've asked you to listen to a certain thing, or to treat you for you to treat them in a certain way. Or maybe they didn't ask it, but you know. So you should think of this person, just letting yourself really feel caring for them, how they'd like to be cared for. And then notice the kindness that you have meditated into existence. The nice feelings that you've cultivated. The caring transformations you've just had. And just feel them stronger. You can feel them as part of you. You could think about where you might be next time you see that person, or next time you have the chance to be this extra kind. Maybe you'd like to visualize being there, how you act there, how you move there, how you talk there. And so you could imagine, if you did kindness meditation, and every day it felt more lovely and more easy and more wonderful. Imagine if you just always felt warmth and kindness. Imagine if you thought of yourself as a Buddha of love, a being of pure love for all beings. And if anyone comes to mind, where you thought, I wouldn't want to love them. Imagine if you were filled with so much love that you had some kind of warm compassion and understanding for everyone, all the time. And for the last part of the meditation, you could imagine yourself as an enlightened being, not just of love and kindness. Imagine yourself as the happiest being in the universe. And the most fun person in the universe. Imagine in any situation your focus would be on the attitudes that would be helpful. So you help people feel like life is easy and warm and kind. And any other wisdom or wonderful ways of being that you've ever wanted to do. Give yourself just a minute now to feel it, to practice it, to be it. And when we're ready, we're going to bring our hands to our hearts. Just hold it there. Some people think of that as holding it in prayer position. Some people just like the a warm feeling of having the hands of the heart. Some people think of it as a posture of deep respect. But I just want you to hold that posture and think of all the love and wisdom inside yourself. All that goodness that's already there, and all that goodness that you will cultivate or could ever cultivate. And imagine the enlightened being, that super wonderful part of you and of everyone. Imagine that enlightened being inside everyone. And we're just going to give a gentle bow of deep respect and awe to that goodness. And as you give another bow, imagine an even deeper awe and respect. And then we finish today's session with a dedication. I dedicate this session to you. I hope you can also imagine dedicating this session to one another. You took the time to be filled with love, wisdom, to make your mind more wonderful. May we do that. Yes, to bless ourselves, to make ourselves happier and wiser. But may we do that for everyone else too. Actually, I'm going to take a break from our normal dedication of expanding that out to all beings. And I want you to dedicate this session to whatever is going to drive you most. Maybe dedicate it to your art project, or to the love inside of you, or to your grandkids, or whatever comes to mind, to really dedicate the practice you just had, to keep remembering it and nurturing it and loving it and being excited about it in whatever way that would be best for you. So, as we walk out and you bow to the enlightened being at the back of the room, I want you to also bow to the enlightened being within you.